Everybody experiences extreme stress at some point in their life. I don't care who we are. Something happens outside our control and it hits our life and it knocks us on our tail. It might be a health stress. It could be something with your family. It could be economic, career. It could be something emotional that happens, biochemical. There's so many things. It could be an environmental situation that had nothing to do with you. Every one of us in our lifetime are experiencing extreme stress. And these days, because of the economy and the way we respond to it, the majority of people are experiencing some form of extreme stress, at least according to polls. Stress doesn't come from the facts. Stress comes from the meaning that we give the facts. Yes, those things have happened. But the real question is, if we fight what's happened, we got a problem. We got to decide, what are we going to do with what's happened in our life? How are we going to take this? How are we going to mold this? How are we going to turn our life around? Because when you come up with a new meaning, you get a new life. So what are we going to do in this session? Well, in this session, we're going to take a look at something from a different perspective. We're going to ask you this question. What is the single force that controls the quality of your life? This one singular individual power that can change anything in our life, regardless of what's happened to us. And I know you know the answer. The answer is the power of choice. The one thing we have in this world is we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on, we can choose what things mean, and we can choose what to do. If you focus on all the things that have been done to you in your life, of course you're going to feel like hell. If you focus on all the amazing coincidences that have happened, things that maybe they were guided, maybe not, but things happen, and because of that you met this person that's your best friend, your husband, your wife, or because of that you have this ability, or because you were there that day, God, you missed an accident. I don't know what it is, but whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. If you focus on people don't care, and you'll look for reasons why they don't care, and evidence they don't care, you'll find it everywhere. If you look for evidence that people are really good people inside, that at some level we all care about each other, you'll find it. Seek and you shall find. The secret is, have you become conscious about your decision making? Because this breakthrough session is, really, you want to change your life, make new choices. New life comes from new choices, but you got to make conscious choices. The people in this particular television special, Melissa and her husband, they really found themselves in a place where they were both making decisions, Melissa and Rick, that were unconscious. Where you make decisions about what to focus on and what things mean and what to do, and you're unconscious, you get pretty terrible results usually. Now, we've all done this. I do it still. We all do. But if you want to change your results, you got to become more conscious in your decision making. So think about it. What you focus on, you will feel. Whether it's true or not. You focus on how people don't care, you're going to feel they don't care. Second decision you make is what do things mean? So you focus on something someone does and you come up with a meaning, and the meaning is no one loves me. The meaning is they're trying to take advantage of me. Depending on what meaning you come up with, and you get to choose the meaning of anything. For some people, they say, this situation happened with the economy, and what that means is I'm going broke. Somebody else said, the situation happened with the economy, guess what? That means I'm going to work harder, I'm going to be more creative, it changed everything. Everybody else is going to quit, so we're going to dominate the marketplace. For people to do it. Is this the end right now, or is it the beginning? See, whether it's the end or the beginning is your choice. You get to decide, because once you make up a meaning, it's true. If you think that this is the end of a relationship, are you going to treat people the same way as if you think it's the beginning of a relationship? No way. In fact, I tell people, if you want to have a great relationship, think about this. Treat people like you did in the beginning of the relationship, and there won't be an end. In the beginning of the relationship, when somebody says to you, would you take out the trash? What do you say? Of course, take out the trash. You're happy to do anything, right? But after about 6 months or 6 years, you're going to take them out the trash. You go, what do you mean? What, I look like your janitor? Take out your own trash. The meaning we give things is very different, and so we feel different, and our life is different. In the beginning, you'll do anything for someone. Now you make up a new meaning. Why should I have to do that for them? Little choices, like what to believe about yourself, what to believe about other people, whether this is the end or the beginning, start to affect your whole life.
Now here's one of the most important ones. Don't play at work. Work is too serious. You don't want the reputation of being the office joker. It's not a good one. Yes, there's time for some pleasant stories. Yes, there's time for a little humor. Yes, best if it's a happy office, of course. But I'm telling you, you got to be serious about work, because you're parting with a piece of your life for the work you do. Your work costs you a piece of your life. Here's what it's called. Serious business. Not grim, not unhappy, but serious. Key. Don't play at work. The old expression, I don't think we use it anymore, horse around at the office. Play around, play jokes, play tricks. No place, not at the workplace. At the beach, yes. At the bar, yes. Somewhere else, not work. You got to treat work with all due conservative passion, because it's leading you to your future. Here's another key phrase: all work is good. You may not like your job, but if it's the stepping stones to get you to where you want to go, you got to appreciate your job. You don't have to have a passion for your job. Here's the ultimate passion: a passion for incredible success in every department of my life. That's the passion. But don't look down on some menial job you have to do to finally get you to where you want to go. No job is menial. No job is not, no, every job is noble. Training life for pay, making a contribution to society. Next, analyze how you are. And if you have some weaknesses, if you doesn't seem like you can change, here's the key: get it covered. I used to keep promising myself I'd keep the books, keep the books, keep the books. Finally, I gave that up. And back then, it only took me an extra $50-60 a month for some accountant to keep the books. I said, no, I'm going to save the $50. You can't believe what I started losing in productivity because I tried to save the $50. So the key is, a lot of the time you can stay like you are, but just make sure you get it covered. Okay.
One of the major keys we found, the first high-performing habit, is seek clarity. And what we found is one of the practices that high performers do is they define the feeling they're after. And so when we had to explain that and later talk about it in the energy chapter, we had to differentiate between feelings and emotions, and they are different. Emotions tend to be, they're the same.
Yeah.
Like they're physical, they're almost always automatic, even though in the brain is creating associations, there's also happen. For us, it's kind of,
Emotion comes up.
yeah, you're watching a movie and you're just sad and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. You didn't even have the tissues ready. You're just like, but the feelings are usually interpretations that we make of what that emotion was and how it sticks and the meaning we give it to it.
Yeah.
And the example I used to, I like to give, and I don't remember if it's in the book or not, honestly, because here's what's happened. This book is 400 pages. It was 1,481.
Woo, baby, you edited down.
Yes, and it was 1,481 good, complete.
Yes.
Like it was like awesome.
Yes.
But I was like, that's gonna freak people out. So we're publishing a bunch in academic journals later, and then stripped it down to 400 pages, so it's more readable and fun and orientable. So I can't remember if this one actually made it in there, but the example I like to give is if you and I go to a haunted house.
Yeah. Which I love.
I love them, and they scare me to crap. But if you and I walk around, you walk around on the walls in a haunted house, someone jumps out at you.
Yeah.
You and I are both going to jump.
Yes.
We are emotionally going to experience fright immediately. It's going to be there, right? But I might be freaked out for the next 5 minutes, and you might be laughing. Why? It's the meaning and the feeling that we've defined it as. That's fine for everybody. Here's the issue that people have, and you have to be careful about when we start talking about energy, because emotional energy is real.
Yes.
And that is, look, if at 6, like, we go to a haunted house at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. If at 9 p.m. now you're in your house, you're alone, but you're completely safe, and you still feel scared, that's not the haunted house's problem. That is the way that you are defining and working through your own emotions. You had the emotion of terror and fear, and you're still experiencing that feeling. That's a mental job, not an emotional job. So your job is to go, wow, I'm at my house. I've lived here for 10 years. I've never been threatened in this house. This is a safe place. I got to redefine the feeling I want to experience. And I work with an Olympic sprinter, gold medalist, Olympic sprinter, as a client. And this person's huge breakthrough in getting better and going from literally won Olympics before, not medaling at all, to now gold. I said, what was the thing?
Yeah.
And one of the things they said to me was, I learned to define the feeling. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he basically said, if there's a bunch of us at the starting blocks and we're all in perfect poise and perfect condition, the one to bet on is the one that says, this is the way I want to feel in this race right now. I know my emotions are going crazy. Like my heart's beating. I can hear everybody. I'm waiting for that shot blast. I can see my goal. I know how important this is. And all these, their emotions are there.
Yeah.
But that person's defining the feeling. I'm going to feel centered now. I'm going to get myself in the zone now. Even though the emotion of anxiety is there for all Olympic level competitors, all of them. But they define that emotion as a feeling that helps give them a performance edge. And I think that's important too. You know, Bruce Springsteen says if he's ever backstage and doesn't feel like nerves, he's gonna hang it up.
Yeah.
But that's anxiety, he's just defining it differently.
If I'm aligned with my values and principles and my goals and dreams, and those two are aligned, I'm the most fulfilled, happiest person alive. It's when you're unaligned, when you are miserable. It's courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. So courage, because if you're ever going to be doing something big, you're going to face enemies that you are going to be afraid. You're going to have courage.
You're not passionate about typography or art or design, but you want to be Steve Jobs. You're not Steve Jobs, you're you. We are the generation that has confused admiration with aspiration, and we'll never find our own happiness until we accept that we can't have anyone else's life but our own. And if we realize this and focus on our own, then our life will be more than enough. You know, young men want to be Mark Zuckerberg because they admire him. But the crazy irony is we admire him because his life was unlike others. He didn't try to be like others. So if you want to be Mark Zuckerberg, it's time to stop trying to be Mark Zuckerberg, because you'll never achieve your personal greatness.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same.
But in the process of that, prepare for success. In other words, are you willing to put time in your next move? And a lot of people say things like, I'm not a morning person. I don't really know what that means. I really don't. I have 24 hours in a day. I try to take advantage of every hour. And I have certain rules that I initially tell people on a regular basis. If you want to start living it successfully, start locking into a consistent time that you should get up every day.
If you want to compete, in the top 1% of 1% of 1% 1%. Price is a big price. There isn't a formula for it. You just have to figure out a way how to do it.
Is that we have to determine the feeling that we are after and live into that feeling and not hope it lands on us. And that's when someone starts getting really mastered.